Another victory show here on the Sick Podcast with Andy McNamara. We're going to go down to Cleveland, talk with ESPN Cleveland host Emmett Golden about the win. What was that from Deshaun Watson? Fantasy football under the wire, waiver wire picks, and we're going to get some Betfred sports picks with Jason Silva as well, some early bird. All coming up right now.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast with Andy McNamara, the sickest Cleveland Browns podcast.
Cut back by Chubb. He's to the 10. He's still running to the 5. He dips outside left. He's going in. Touchdown. What a run. Nick Chubb.
It's going to be sick.
Well, it was one of the oddest ways to get a win, but I don't know about you Browns fans. After 1-31 not that long ago, any reason to drink out of the Victory Monday mug is good by me. I don't care how it happened. It happened. It's great. We're going to get lots of fantasy football picks. Get you ready for NFL Week 14 already. Under the wire, waiver wire pickups. Jason Silva from Betfred Sports. Some early bird picks. This is the time where you can jump in and make some cash. But let's head down to the beautiful ESPN Cleveland studios in God's country, Cleveland, Ohio. And my guy, Emmett Golden, host of The Next Level. Emmett, how are you?
I'm great, man. I'm great. Thanks for having me today.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. And let's start. We put out on the Twitter account at SickPodBrowns one word to describe Deshaun Watson's performance from Sunday. Mine was surprising because even though it was, you expected rust and we were throwing those away, we didn't know what it would look like. I was surprised. What would your one word be?
My word would be expected, but I don't think anybody expected it. You know, I mean, common sense would tell us that, look, it's, been 2 years, 700 days since he started a game in the NFL, played in a game in the NFL. Common sense should tell us that he wasn't going to be very good, but, we're Browns fans. A lot of times we put common sense to the side because we just want to root, and they're so excited about having a franchise quarterback. So it was expected, even though none of us really wanted to expect it.
I like that one. Leave your one word in the comment section. Give us a follow, notifications on, all that good stuff on social media. And the one surprising in a good way was, well, the defense and the special teams finally picked it up. First punt return TD since the Rabbit was in a Browns uniform. Donovan Peoples-Jones. How much of the positivity, and look, like I said, we're not going to, after the garbage we've been through as fans, we're not going to take anything for granted. But how much do you put against the defense and special teams stepping up as, wow, we got to rally behind Deshaun compared to, man, the Texans are just real bad?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think it's probably more the Texans are just really that bad. But the reason why I'll hold on to a little bit of the optimism is the week before, seeing what the Browns defense was able to do against Tom Brady. And, most people might say the Tampa Bay Buccaneers aren't a very good football team, which I wouldn't really argue against that. But Tom Brady, Monday Night Football, game-winning drive, went down the field and scored. He had opportunities to do that against the Browns multiple times and even in overtime, and the Browns defense stood up. So that makes me feel good about where the defense is going. I hope they could put another game like that next week, even though they are typically pretty good against the Bengals. So fingers crossed. But they seem to be playing much better than they had earlier in the season.
And that word that your broadcast partner and guest, friend of the show, Gerard Cherry, says, complementary football. That term, complementary. Totally missing. And from Unlikely Heroes, like, I don't know about you, Emmett, but I kind of forgot Tony Fields II was on the team. And I was like, oh, wow. Okay. Hey, I'll take it. Right? Yeah,
he had the game of his life. And that was cool. Happy for him. A guy that not a lot of after games, a lot of media, aren't at his locker looking to talk to him. He got to go to the podium on Sunday. So that was a cool moment for him. So it's always fun when one of the lesser known guys gets an opportunity to make an impact on the game. I know teammates love that as well. And I'm sure fans appreciated what he was able to do.
Well, a player that had sort of made in spots during his career as a Brown of making those splash plays, those moments. Sione Takitaki, unfortunately, we found out torn ACL. And that's a guy, boy, Emmett, contract year, looked like he was really coming on. That's disappointing from an already thinned out and underperforming overall this year linebacker core.
It hurts. It hurts because it seems like they kind of found a solution at middle linebacker, and he was playing well. And I think the reason why the Browns were playing better against the run, still not like juggernauts, but much better against the run, had a lot to do with Takitaki. So that hurts a lot. Again, it's already difficult for them to stop the run. I think it gets even more difficult now. It's going to be tough to find a replacement. I don't know what they're going to do there. Obviously, you think Deion Jones is going to get more playing time, so we'll see. But that's a big loss for the Browns.
Yeah, and Deion Jones, hopefully, more games he steps up because he has the pedigree to be a potential star. But we'll see. Get him on Twitter at eGoldie80. Hosted The Next Level with Gerard Cherry Monday to Friday on ESPN Cleveland and thelandondemand.com. Evan, I got to mention an old friend of the Browns, Baker Mayfield. And I bring it up. I have a question for you. I have right here a autographed on card, 1 of 49 Baker Mayfield autographed rookie card. What do you think the value is of that card today, Emmett? Is that depreciating rapidly? Is this going to be a coaster soon?
Yeah, probably not very valuable right now. We'll see. Who knows what happens in the future, but
Andy needs you, babe. Come on.
Yeah, probably not very valuable at this moment. It's unfortunate. There's a piece of me that feels like, because there are reports that he asked for his release. I'm wondering if he saw the injury to Garoppolo and he and his agent were like, hey, they're going to want us. They'll want me. So let's ask for a release so we could get over there. Maybe it works. Maybe it doesn't. And if it doesn't work, I don't know where he's going to end up.
No, and that's the thing. I'm with you. There's always a part of me, as long as it doesn't negatively affect the Browns, that wants well for Baker, because love him or hate him, that guy brought us out of the 1-31 doldrums. I remember, like I haven't cried at some funerals, and I had tears when he broke that, when those bridges broke open, and he beat the Jets, beat Pittsburgh twice. So I personally hope for the best for him, as long as it's not against the Browns.
Yeah. People think I have something personal against Baker, and I don't. I actually wish him the best. The Baker Bros, the Miss Jenkins Mafia, as I used to refer to them. I have a weird past with some of those folks, so I usually like to troll them from time to time when Baker's in the news. But it's unfortunate, and I didn't see this coming. I don't think anybody did. After, again, coming in on a Thursday night, getting the first win in almost 2 years, then leading the Browns to the playoffs, you thought, hey, man, this is the Browns franchise quarterback. We're ready to go. And obviously the coaching staff knew a little more than we did, behind the scenes, because they decided to make a move. And you think, okay, they'll have a second chance in Carolina. Just didn't work out there either.
No, and now we have what we hope is our actual franchise quarterback. And boy, Emmett, when you look at talent-wise, just pure athleticism, arguably the most talented Browns quarterback maybe ever. I don't know how you can rate. I wasn't around for Otto Graham, so I can't speak to that. But I think maybe athletically, we all love Bernie, but athletically, the talent to be the best ever. When we look at this week, impossible to tell. I would just hope we see. Are you expecting like incremental improvements? I don't think we can expect a switch to be flipped to him just to be old Deshaun, right?
Yeah, I'm expecting small improvements. We ran a poll question on the Next Level yesterday where we asked, how long do you think it'll take? And I actually said, I think it's going to take the rest of the year. I think he's going to have, and I don't expect him to be as bad as he was last week, but I expect him to progress, at a decent clip. I don't expect him to come in and throw for 400 yards against the Bengals. Now, the Bengals typically give up big numbers against Browns quarterbacks, so fingers crossed on that one. We'll see. But to your point, I do believe he's the most athletic quarterback the Browns ever had, even without seeing Otto Graham. I'm willing to bet Deshaun is a little more athletic than Otto was. But I think it's going to take some time. We got to be patient, but we know he's a great quarterback. It's going to take a little bit for him to get back to that.
And I just think, and to Stefanski's credit, again against a bad Houston team, but he didn't put too much on his plate. And at least the Browns have the tools to be able to help him along by two guys, Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt. Chubb, Hunt, repeat, Emmett. Like that formula. And I don't know. I just don't have the confidence that Stefanski can do that. Maybe this was a step, but boy, they just cannot get into any sort of, you have to eat up that clock. You can't get into a shootout with the Bengals on Sunday.
Yeah. Well, actually, I think what we saw, on Sunday was Stefanski ran the ball on first down. Browns don't do that a lot. Yep. And I think the game plan was let's run the ball on first down, get second, third, and manageable, easy throws for Deshaun to complete. Sometimes he did, sometimes he didn't. But I actually believe now that they will lean a little heavier on the run game. Now, that doesn't mean run it 50 times, which I think at times Browns fans are like, run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. You do have to throw it sometimes, and I think Stefanski is going to want to control the distances, third and manageable. If you could do that, I think you can really, it comes down to Deshaun getting a rhythm. If he could complete a couple passes on third down and kind of get that confidence back, I think that'll help him kind of speed up, getting back to the form that he was at once.
I like that idea a lot. And I think, too, what we saw, this wasn't Deshaun, throwing deep and the ball was underthrown or fluttering. It was balls into the dirt. And the players had said, coming out of the media today or yesterday, we haven't seen that in practice. So to me, that gives me hope to think, okay, you're in Houston. You're in all that pressure and emotion. Now that's done. That's all out of the way. Yeah. So at least it was like really bad. And that's not who he is. At least we hope.
Yeah. And if you're going to miss, you want to miss low. Because if you miss high, a lot of times those get taken back to the house and pick sixes. So there's also, they didn't see it in practice because people can't hit Deshaun in practice. Yes. And he can set his feet and know that, hey, I got time back here, So, of course, he was going to be accurate. I will let everybody know, going forward, if anybody says someone looked great in practice, take it with a grain of salt. Yeah. It is practice. It's a lot different, once the live bullets start flying.
Yeah, it's a little bit different. You got the different colored the red jersey on, whatever, the don't hit me jersey, right? Yeah, little different. All right, Emmett, we'll let you go on this. Early prediction. Hopefully no injuries through the week. Hopefully we hear, practicing good, and we know that means nothing. But early prediction, Browns, Bengals. I feel that for Browns fans, we're just like, well, we always beat the Bengals. And that's like saying, well, somebody's got to win the lottery. Why not?
Right.
I don't know if there's a lot of substance we can put into that right now, but we've seen crazy Bengals games and the Browns come out on top. Early prediction from you.
I think it's going to be a close one. I'm thinking Browns, 24-21. I think the defense is in Joe Burrow's head, and that helps. I think they're in Jamar Chase's head as well. So, I kind of expect the Bengals to not run the ball like they should because they didn't last time, and that didn't make any sense. So I think the Browns will be able to pull this out. Deshaun gets a little bit better, but ultimately Nick Chubb is the offense, and the defense plays well.
And that makes the following week even more interesting with a chance to get to 500 and just putting us in a nice spot. This makes sense, Emmett. Put us in a nice spot to have our hearts broken. Dangle that carrot.
Oh, absolutely.
And destroy us. That's what we need.
Yeah. Right. A little bit of hope. That's all we need. We need some hope so we can get it snatched away from us. Right.
Exactly. Emmett, listen, you do. So I'm a longtime listener of yours on ESPN Cleveland, but tell people, Browns fans, they probably already know, but where can they find you? Where can they hear you?
Absolutely. You can check me out. I'm on the Really Big Show from noon to 1 every day, and then hosting the Next Level from 3 to 5, 8:50 a.m. ESPN Cleveland. Catch us on the ESPN app. And I will soon be on ESPN Radio on the weekends once again doing my national thing.
That's awesome, man. Of course, thelandondemand.com as well. I'm a subscriber, and you should be too. All right, buddy. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
All right. There he is at eGoldie80 on Twitter. Emmett Golden from ESPN Cleveland. So Emmett thinks close game and the Browns squeak it out with the defense being in Joe Burrow's head. I'll give my official prediction on Friday's show. But what are your early takeaways? What are your thoughts? I like what Emmett said. I think it makes a lot of sense. But what are your early thoughts on this game? The Browns pull it out to give us that hope. Leave it in the comment section. Get us on Twitter. Tweet us at SickPodBrowns, at AndyMC81. Also on Instagram at AndyMCSports. I also, folks, I'm going to tell you how you can win free pay-per-view for Ring of Honor Final Battle. All Elite Wrestling bought ROH, bought Ring of Honor a few months ago. Tony Khan bought it, and they got a stacked card. So I have a way you can win this from our buddies at Fight TV. They're back again on how you can win it. So a little hint, what you do, make sure you're following on Twitter at AndyMC81, at SickPodBrowns, at Fight TV. That's the first step. I'll let you know a little bit later on the show how you can enter to win for this Saturday's Ring of Honor Final Battle, big ol' pay-per-view. But still to come, we have under the wire waiver wire picks. Let's get you ready for fantasy football week 14 and Jason Silva from Betfred Sports with our early bird NFL picks. All still coming up on the Sick Podcast with Andy McNamara. All right, everybody, let's get to some fantasy football talk, some early bird best bets as well. But first, this just in. I have some breaking news. Lights blare on. Breaking news. Contest giveaway. All right, people. Browns fans, if you can get to Cincinnati, potentially you could attend the Bengals-Browns game this Sunday thanks to our pals at Betfred Sportsbook. Jason Silva is going to be on in a few minutes. But this is all you do. So that link I've been telling you about the last few shows to pre-register, that's why you have to pre-register right now. Look, right there. Okay? The link is in the body of the show. I'll post it on social media as well. But with Ohio betting opening up January 1st for Ohio residents, all you got to do is pre-register at the best Betfred Sportsbook, the best sports book. And all you do to do that is betfredsports.com, betfredsportsbook.com/Ohio/Andy McNamara. Okay, so you see how to spell that right there. It's right in the book there. You just pre-register there and you're set. You could win. They're going to do the draw this week. betfredsports.com, betfredsports.com/Ohio/Andy McNamara. betfredsports.com/Ohio/Andy McNamara. And you'll be entered to win 2 tickets to see the Browns put the boots to those Bengals, tame those kitty cats this weekend in Cincinnati. So if you can go, hey, sign up, and there's exclusive bonuses. So even if you don't win that, you're still getting exclusive bonuses for when things open up, and you'll still be entered to win future prizes. So makes a ton of sense. betfredsports.com/Ohio/Andy McNamara. Okay, let's get some fantasy football talk. Let's go. All right. Well, a lot of teams on bye this week, folks. Okay. We got the Falcons, Bears, Packers, Colts, Saints, and Commanders. These late buys are just killer when you're pushing for your fantasy football playoff spot, right? Like it's right there. You're missing all this. Typically, you probably are always in need of a running back or some depth. I know I am next to tight end. That's one of the thinnest position groups. There's a lot of actual potential on the waiver wire, widely available guys when it comes to running backs this week. I was a little surprised looking into it. There's a bunch of guys that jumped out to me. How about Travis Homer with the Seahawks? Now you have to, this is all a part of it though. You have to be tracking the health. You have to be tracking the progression through the week of a Kenneth Walker. Okay. And also a DJ Dallas, but more so Kenneth Walker, who's been spectacular, but he is unlikely to play, still could. In any case, pick up Travis Homer because there's a guy on your team, your fantasy team. You know it and I know it. You're not going to play him. Okay. It's week 14. Cut ties. You know there's a guy you're not going to play. Stash it with running backs because if Travis Homer, he was suffering an illness, he'll be fine. If Kenneth Walker doesn't play, Travis Homer gets the bulk of the shares even when DJ Dallas is in. Okay. And when he's healthy, and he's not going to be 100%. Could be a terrific spot for Travis Homer right there. You could be looking at some nice, maybe low teens, double digits. As far as a flex guy you can get in, Travis Homer, I really like that pickup. So go get him. Also, folks, Cam Akers, he's back. Cam Akers of the Rams. He might not be the hero we want, but damn it, he might be the hero we need in fantasy football. Cam Akers, who was benched earlier, right? Remember early in the year, was supposed to come back and nothing. And Cam Akers is right there for us. And you look at what Cam Akers has been able to do. I just want to make sure I get the correct numbers for you here. Because Cam Akers in this Rams situation where they're done. They're done. Matthew Stafford's not doing anything, right? He's not playing. And so now when we look at Cam Akers, had the highest snap count of the season for him, 71%, 18 touches. Okay. So Cam Akers, he's been dropped just about everywhere. You can go get him. Now you also have Kyren Williams floating around. So Akers, not necessarily a sure thing, especially with how his year's gone. But you'd have to believe, especially when a season is lost, that if you're the Rams, go for it. See what you have. Can you get him into a rhythm and flow to go into next year? Cam Akers, a lot. I personally have stashed Kyren Williams. I'm not going to play him this week, but I've stashed him going forward just in case something happens to Akers. But you look at the Rams' fourth easiest schedule the rest of the year. I think you go get Akers. Another one, Zonovan Knight. Now, I told you guys about him on Friday's show. Zonovan Knight with the Jets. Zonovan Knight, again, popped. Now, you're playing the Buffalo Bills. Okay, that's not a great situation, obviously. We don't necessarily like that. But when you look at what he's been able to do in limited opportunities, right? Coming in, you had Bryce Hall, you had Michael Carter, James Robinson came in. Zonovan Knight wasn't a thing. Okay, he's available in over 65% of most leagues. So 100 yards again. James Robinson active, but it was still White who had the majority of carries and touches and snaps really in the backfield. 118 yards on 20 touches. That's significant. And if you're playing the Bills, the Jets are going to want to try to work in that run to not put too much on Mike White. I'll have more on Mike White. Last year, Mike White played the Bills. He threw 4 interceptions. If they learn anything at all, you might want to not have Mike White have to throw the ball a lot. Zonovan Knight has been very interesting. Michael Carter didn't practice all last week. So he is tentative for this week. So he might not be there. The Bills defense is ranked. It's ranked number 24. It's probably because they get up on teams so much and clubs have to throw. So it's not going to be a smash fest by any stretch. But for Zonovan Knight, it's the type of guys that you see all the time. Just sort of, come out of nowhere. You see that with running backs. Pick him up for your fantasy team as well. Those are 3-4. James Cook of the Bills. Nice little stash. I'm not as excited about him because the Bills aren't a run first, but James Cook, we've seen him sort of start to stack back-to-back games with a little bit more. Again, not as excited about him, but Travis Homer, Cam Akers, Zonovan Knight. For quarterbacks, give me Derek Carr. Give me Derek Carr, people. Okay? You got Derek Carr here. And the reason is, do we like the Raiders? Raiders are going to be good. Also, no. But you look at what Derek Carr has done the last month. 4 games. Okay? Just under 18 fantasy points. 20.28, 22.8, and 17 against the Chargers. Okay, now he had the 2 interception game against Seattle 2 weeks ago, but he still threw for almost 300 yards. Now you're facing a Rams team, like I just said with the Cam Akers thing. They're broken. They're broken. They're dejected. They have nothing to play for. He's available in about 40+% of leagues still. Roster about 60, 65% depending. So Derek Carr's streaming option as well makes a ton of sense. You can get him in, especially with all those teams on bye. So there's some under the wire waiver wire pickups for you. Get your questions into me. Hashtag Ask Andy, your fantasy football questions on Twitter at AndyMC81, at SickPod Browns, Instagram too, at AndyMC Sports. So lots going on there. Get your hashtag Ask Andy in fantasy football questions. But now let's get to some early bird picks for NFL. There you go. I love the worm. And we're going to bring on our guy from Betfred Sportsbook, Jason Silva, on the line. Jason, how's it going, buddy? Oh, I think you're muted, my friend. Let's get you. I can see that the sweet hat. I think you're muted. Let's see. Let's get you here. I think you're
all right. I'm still muted. Sorry about that.
We got you, brother. That's okay.
I apologize. I muted myself twice to not interrupt you there.
But you know what? Hey, you were having I saw all over the Betfred Sports social media. You were having a blast at the Bengals game. So, boy, Betfred's all over the place in Ohio and all over America.
You're right about that. Obviously, we're an older, well, actually not obvious to most, right? We're an older book, been around since the 60s in the UK, newer to the US market, but still have a pretty strong presence in the states that we are open in. And yeah, Ohio's a new market coming in, 24, 25 days now. So yeah, we're right around the corner, and sports betting finally for Ohio people will be able to go out and bet, right? Right now, I know you're either betting with an offshore, you're betting with a local bookie, or you're driving to across state lines to place bets. And soon enough, that'll be done, and hopefully we'll be able to earn everybody's business there in Ohio.
Well, there's so many stories from Browns fans and Clevelanders and Northeast Ohio guys I know, Jason, who are like, yeah, I'll be back I got to go drive into Pennsylvania. Ridiculous.
Yeah, same thing down in the Cincinnati area. Everybody, a lot of the guys I was talking to drive over into Indiana, or they know a guy, right? They say, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah. But you know what's great? Betfred Sportsbook now takes us away from the I got a guy situation. The I got a guy situation can be okay. Not the best.
Yeah, it's illegal. Let's call it what it is. It's illegal, right? At the end of the day. So, if you want to stay within the lines, and also, hey, those not to get onto that about legal versus offshore and local, right? Local, which is again illegal, but yeah, you know who you're getting paid by. It's above board, legal to do. You get a lot of nice perks betting with sports books like us, right? And you're not paying some random guy out. So yes, legal sports betting is good for everybody, right? It's a win-win-win.
Yeah, it's not Jimmy Two Eyes or something like that out of the back.
Jimmy Two Eyes might not pay me.
Jimmy Two Eyes might not. Jimmy One Eye probably learned his lesson. Jimmy Two Eyes maybe not.
Fair enough.
But I said before you came on, hey, Betfred Sportsbook. So there's some great contests. You get the exclusive pre-registered bonus for Ohio, and also I was chatting with our other Jason friend from Betfred. He was saying, guess what? Giveaway this week for the Bengals in Cincinnati, Bengals versus Browns game, and you can qualify to win that, Browns fans. If you can get to the game, you can qualify. Betfredsports.com/Ohio/Andy McNamara. You pre-register, and you can see the Browns beat up on the Bengals, right? Come on, Jace. That's happening.
Hey, you know what? We are partnered with the Bengals. I must say, as a Patriots fan, guy from Boston living in Las Vegas, I am now a Bengals fan, so I'm going to stick up for the guys. And
that's right.
I think they roll them. I think it's a big revenge spot from this Christmas, Thanksgiving, Halloween.
Yeah.
Right. What holiday are we at? Season's flying by. That holiday, that Halloween debacle of the Bengals. I don't know what that was. I think before, not to run too far ahead, but yeah, I think we see a much different ball game this Sunday.
Yeah, no, I think there's everything lines up to be that. The Bengals are super stacked with talents. Another week of Jamar Chase coming back. But let's look at some NFL Week 14, the early bird bets, and that's what I like. I think this is usually an opportunity, potentially, depending, where bettors can get ahead of it, get ahead of the line, get ahead of where people are going. And if you see something that might be a bit off, maybe you're hearing some weather thing down the road, something that might not, there's a chance to sort of pop in on situations like that. For some NFL Week 14 bets, just off the top, does anything really jump out to you that you like early on? I'm on the Betfred Sportsbook right now and taking a peek at some of the games.
Yes, I have our odds up as well. I guess to make best use of this segment, right, we're talking about where lines are going and where you can maybe get some value, right? Up at Betfred Sportsbook, we post lines immediately following Sunday, whether it's repricing futures or the next week's set of games, right? So we've had our numbers hung all week. We've seen a lot of movement, and I expect a lot more movement. I'll mention some of those notable line moves to this point that aren't too surprising, and I'll tell you where I think it's headed. I think of the Cincinnati-Cleveland game while we're talking about it, right? This big Bengals-Browns game this weekend down in Cincinnati. You saw this one open up at 3.5, and you know how things go. It's what have you done lately? And everybody's remembering that big win the other day. They don't really remember that ass kicking that the Bengals took months back, where they rushed for, I think, 34 yards as a team in a ball game, right? Obviously, that run game's come a long way since, and they couldn't block anybody. Joe Burrow's run for his life. But anyway, that line opened up at 3.5, is up to 7 already. I think it's going to come back down. If you like the Browns, I would take that 7. You're up at that key number. I think it's going to settle back down around 6. I think the sharp guys will really start to shape that market as it develops here as we get closer. Look, we're really only on Tuesday, so a lot of time, and I think that one If you see a 7, I would suggest taking it. Buffalo versus Jets is another one that I think that one opened up at 9.5. You see some places up to 10. We're sitting at 9 right now. I think that one is one, again, if you can get it, if it pops at 10, which I think you'll get some pops closer to game time, everybody's going to be betting the Bills there right at home. That's one I would wait on, but something to point out early on that I'm seeing where it's going to head. I think the second you see any 10s, you should take, but I think it will get to that 10 closer we get to kickoff. So I'd wait on that game. Other ones just to mention that really have flipped. You look at Baltimore and Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's a favorite at home by a field goal this week. That is quite surprising. And I think your average bettor is going to jump all over Baltimore. I would not be so fast to jump on that. That would be my quick take there without getting into that too much.
Tyler Huntley, going like it would be shocking if he didn't play for Lamar Jackson. Now we have seen him mobile wise being able to move, but what I always caution bettors and on the fantasy side too, Jason, is it's a lot different when a quarterback comes in mid-game and the team can't prepare for them, wasn't expecting it, compared to when you got a full week and you know it's going to be a guy.
100%.
Totally different story.
Is the target on your back, or are you preparing for something else? Well, there is obviously some similarities running the ball, and they're running the same offense, right? There's different ways to cut a pie, right? And they definitely do that. So, yeah, if the ability to surprise and not being prepared obviously is where that could come into play. But having him, the targets on his back, they're pretty sure who they're getting this week. So I think that's why you saw that line move. And yeah, I would back Pittsburgh in what I would call a Pro versus Joe game. I'd probably take Pittsburgh there. And what I mean by that, for the people of Ohio who are newer to betting, there's lines that just seem so obvious that in odds makers right now, people are going to jump on. And I'm not saying I'm not trying to allude to there's trap lines, but lines are all set and moved how they are. They move there based on the market's perception and the market movers action, right? So I trust. I do definitely not want to just say I was get it confused. I was saying there's trap lines, but if there's something's up, there's usually a reason for it. So look more into it, I guess, would be my suggestion there. And it sounds like you see the same thing, Andy. Maybe Pittsburgh's a play there, despite not being such an obvious play. And here's one more I'll mention. Tampa Bay, right? Obviously, with that comeback, another thing, right? It's what have you done lately? The sentiment's going to be high. But don't forget how they looked for 3.5 quarters of that game. They were absolutely stagnant offense.
And the Browns beat them 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, that's right. And look at that. And actually, you got value on Tampa the other day, last night. But look at that. That game was fishy as well. I actually, as a bettor, putting my bettor hat on, not being on the operator side, I backed the Saints and felt pretty good about that one because there was another one last night. Just didn't seem right. Everybody was coming and pounding the Bucks on that 3. It was a good win for Betfred, good win for, some sharper bettors definitely took advantage of that. But the one I wanted to mention I was getting to is Tampa at San Fran. That one opened up at 5.5. You're already seeing money come in on Tampa. Tampa's getting down to 3 right now. 3.5. If any 3s pop, I would absolutely take some 49ers there because this is an overreaction from that last few drives of Tampa. I really think at San Fran, to look Tom last night as he ended his interview, he's like, that's going to be a tough win. And he he's a modest guy usually when it comes to week by week. But when I heard him say that, I said, no shit kind of thing, right? And you see betting market already shaping that way. The line's moving towards that field goal line. And if I could lay the 3 with San Fran, I would definitely do it. If you want to buy the hook, you could always do that. But I think San Fran's a good play, and I don't think it'll get too much better. Again, if you see the 3, take it. Those would be a couple games that I noticed.
No, I like those a lot. And I think with the San Francisco, to your point, before also any additional quarterback moves get made, there's, the Baker Mayfield thing. You got Brock Purdy, and, that's not exciting people too much. But we know that with Kyle Shanahan, and the more casual fan might not, you just see Brock Purdy, oh, my Jimmy G's got – no. This is a team that can be creative. You can have Deebo Samuel run all day. This team got to a Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo throwing the ball 8 times. They know what to do.
Totally agree with you. It's such a system. With that said, obviously you need an able guy, but I think Brock Purdy will be just fine, to be honest with you. I really don't see a huge downgrade.
No.
And it sounds like the locker room's rallying around him. This is an organization that loves the chip on their shoulder. I think it feeds into who they are, and I think it's going to bring the best out of them. I'm no 49er fan, but I would say look out you start doubting that team. You put Brock Purdy, a motivated quarterback who was really good at Iowa State for years. Don't forget, we were talking about this guy being one of the top guys until he fell off there on the backside of his senior year, right? The whole senior year was really disappointing for Purdy. But going into that season, look, he was going to be a top dog. So I think the guy's got a chip in his shoulder as well, and I think it just fits the identity of that organization. And schematically, they spread it out so well, whether it's dumping it out and just letting guys work in space, or the jet sweeps, or attacking the inside, or the zone. I mean, there's a lot of ways that they cut it, and I think they're a system team like you mentioned. So
no big downgrade. Christian McCaffrey, you got options. I want one more from you here. You mentioned you're a Patriots fan. This one's a little confusing to me. I don't know if people are still caught up and think that the Arizona Cardinals are necessarily good, but for the Patriots to only be 1 point favorites from what I see, which essentially is a pick 'em. I don't care if they don't throw the ball at all. I think that Belichick defense just causes chaos. I would take the Patriots straight up and probably whatever money line they got.
I love it as well. We're looking at Monday Night Football here. Almost a week out.
Really,
I love it. Yeah. I see this one, honestly, I think the sharp guys take this up to 3. So actually, Andy, I'm happy you mentioned it, because this is a good look ahead here to before we get to Thursday night and Sunday night football and some more announcements, those inflection points in the market through the week where injury news and all that stuff comes out, things start to shake out, and that's where the markets get tighter. I think I would definitely and might personally go play New England, actually, because I totally agree. And you look at this Arizona team, what have they done at home? You're right. You think might be a tough place to play on the desert. They're 1-6 straight up at home.
Yeah.
Straight up. Against the spread, they're 3-4. So the market's adjusted and been pretty spot on with Arizona this year. I think they were a team on the other end of things, of kind of just like that hype train, for lack of a better phrase, right? And I think the market kind of was on point with it the whole time. The bettors are coming and flying, especially in Arizona. We took a ton of love on the Cardinals coming preseason, and I think the market's been spot on there, right? 3-3. There's 6-6 ATS this year, so the market's been spot on. I think New England on the road here is a great spot to get right too. There's a must win for New England.
It is.
With that said, I hate when people say it's a must win, they're going to win. That don't mean they're going to win, but I think this Bill Belichick team, they always have traveled well. I think going out west, and I think they go get a win here Monday Night Football at Arizona.
Yeah, few teams as disciplined as the Patriots, of course. Jason, man, hey, this is a lot of fun. I want to have you back on often and to talk and spread the great news what Betfred Sportsbook is doing in Ohio and really in so many other states as well. So thanks for coming on, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Andy. Pleasure.
All right. We'll talk to you soon. Right. There he is, Jason Silva from Betfred Sportsbook. And remember, folks, you can win 2 tickets, Browns versus Bengals in the jungle down to Cincinnati. You can do it. You can win it. How do you win those 2 tickets to Cincinnati versus Cleveland in Cincy with their Skyline Chili? I've never tried Skyline Chili. I don't want to try Skyline Chili personally, but the Browns are going to go down. I think get them. I think they're going to get them. Maybe that's just a fan of me. But to win, to go see the Browns, maybe beat the Bengals, to see what should be a fun game no matter what, nice division rivalry game, to win 2 tickets, all you do, nice and simple, from our friends. There you go right there. Pre-register with the Betfred Sportsbook, betfredsports.com/Ohio/Andy McNamara. You can see how to spell my name right there in the ticker. There it is. betfredsports.com/Ohio/Andy McNamara, and you can win 2 tickets to this Sunday, Browns versus Bengals. You know what? If you entered, let me know. Let me know that you did. Put in the comment section here. Go on Twitter at AndyMC81, at SickPod Browns, on Instagram at AndyMCSports. Let me know that you entered. And let's see what happens down there. betfredsports.com/Ohio/Andy McNamara. And hey, I mentioned earlier in the show too, you want to win free pay-per-view from our friends at Fight TV? Ring of Honor final battle. Samoa Joe's in action. The Ocho, Chris Jericho versus Claudio for the Ring of Honor title. We got the Pure Championship, Daniel Garcia, Wheeler Yuta, FTR in action. Going to be a heck of a show. This Saturday, 4 p.m. You want to win it from our guys at Fight TV if you're outside the U.S. Again, just follow on Twitter and Instagram at AndyMC81, at AndyMCSports, at SickPodBrowns. We'll tell you how you can win that as well. So Browns-Bengals tickets, Fight TV, Ring of Honor final battle, your fantasy football, your early bird bets, and a lot of great Cleveland Browns talk from myself and our guy, Emmett Golden. So that'll do it, folks. We'll see you back on Friday. Share this, click notifications on. For Sammy and the crew, thanks to Emmett, thanks to Jason. I'm Andy McNamara, and you've been listening to the Sick Podcast with me, Andy McNamara. Go Browns!
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast with Andy McNamara on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.